Mandatory evacuation also includes the Deer Lodge Park neighborhood just northeast of Arrowhead. Of course, the pilot fire being driven by this wind. Thick smoke billowed over the San Bernardino National Forest as fixed-wing helicopters and the DC-10 made a run at the pilot fire. So far, the wildfire has blasted more than 4,500 acres and is showing no signs of slowing down. Mark Maynard, glad firefighters were able to protect his Summit Valley home just off Highway 173.
Looking at a wildfire, and we had 3 or 4 fire engines there and 7 firefighters.
While he stayed on.
Good afternoon. This is Neil Palache, money coach with the Wealth Creator Company for Women in Westlake Village, California. And here we are at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on the west coast of the United States. Hi, Kathy. I see people coming on. Thank you for your hearts. That's lovely. Lovely for you periscopers. Hearts are good. Hearts are good. Tap the screen. And then for you Facebook Live folks, I can't remember what you do, actually. Maybe you just say howdy. I'm not really sure. Anyway, you all know that I'm a money coach, and I work with primarily with separated, divorced, and widowed women. Please feel free to go to neilsdeals.com and take a look around, neilsdeals.com. Subscribe and get some goodies coming to you every few days, once a week, etc. We're going to talk today about networking and networking groups. Now, I'm not a marketing coach, as you know, but I'm a money coach. And when you are networking, clearly the reason that you are there is because you want to make money. And that is why everybody else is there, because they want to make money. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about networking today is because what I hear out there when I talk to people are some very interesting comments about why they're there. And, I like coming here, and I like having lunch, and I like meeting people, and I like making friends. And I suppose all of those things are important. I enjoy that as well. But a true networking group is all about making money. And as I heard I'm trying to think who the lady was. She was fabulous. That I was listening to talking about this stuff, and she said, it is called networking, not net friending, not net eating. It's called networking. So when you go to a networking group, it is expected that you are there for money. Now, the idea is not to walk in there and say, hey, here's my business card, and give that out to 50 people and expect everybody to call you. That isn't going to happen. It is a relationship game. It is a relationship play. And you are going to build relationships with those people. Now, are you going to build relationships with 20 people, 30 people, 50 people? Probably not. At least not good ones. You'll build good relationships with 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 people if you're lucky, and you've got to find who those people are. So the first thing that you want to do when you go to a networking group, if it's new to you, is to figure out who the players are. Figure out who it is that you want to be associated with, and you could probably, in many cases, do that before you get there. Now, I don't honestly go to a lot of new networking groups at the moment, because I've got my established groups that I like to visit, and they all know me at this point, I know them and so forth. But when you're going to a new group, you want to figure out who's in the room, and it's not that difficult, because in many cases you can go to the membership site, you can get the membership list. And again, I'm not talking about spamming them and calling them and, annoying the hell out of people. I'm just simply saying that before you go to the networking group, know who is going to be there. Well, there's going to be this lawyer, that accountant, this financial planner, this realtor, that plumber, or whatever it is. And you are then going to say to yourself, who do I want to meet? Who do I want to build a relationship with? And you can know that going in. And then you say, okay, well, that's John Smith, and that's Jane Jones, and so on and so forth. I'm going to sit next to them. I am going to talk to them. I am going to shake my hands with those 4 or 5 people. And I would suggest that you do that rather than getting to the meeting and then saying, okay, I'm going to rush through this pre-meeting 30-minute networking mixing opportunity, and I'm going to see how many people I can shake hands with. To me, that is not the goal. The goal is to know going in who you want to see and make sure that they know who you are and that you know who they are. And one of the best ideas that I heard from my friend and coach, Casey Eberhardt, is that he told us in our mastermind group, that one of the things that he likes to do, and I very much like this idea, is that when you give your, not your 60-second necessarily, but maybe when you do your 30-second testimonials and thanks for having me and so on and so forth, that you point out a particular person. You could even do this in your 60-second, but rather than saying, hey, hi, my name's Neil Palache, I'm a money coach with the Wealth Creator Company, and we help separated, divorced, and widowed women to become financially independent. Maybe what you want to say is, hey, I want to let you know that I met a person when I first came in here. She was extremely kind to me, introduced me to a couple of people. She owns a flower shop, and I have to tell you, that sounds to me like this is just the type of person that you would want to do business with if and when you need flowers, and kind of make a big deal out of that person rather than trying to make a big deal about yourself, because honestly, most people in the room don't really care. So what they want to do is they want to see how much you care about other people, not necessarily how much you care about yourself. So I thought that that was a really very good thing to suggest, because most people, quite frankly, are going in there and doing their typical 1 minute of this is who I am, this is what I do, these are the referrals that I'm looking for. And that's fine. I mean, you can certainly do that, but I kind of like the other idea better. And then you've got 4 or 5 people in the room that you want to meet. The business card box often is going to go around the room. You take the 4 or 5 business cards out of the people that you want to meet, and then you can give them a call afterwards, or if the group that you're in has referral slips, you can fill out a slip and say, hey, I would like to have coffee, tea, lunch with you, whatever their system is. And then after the meeting, you call them up, say, hey, I would like to chat with you further about what you do, get to know you a bit better, learn about your business, have you learn about mine, and then you start building that relationship. And that's the way that you want to be promoting yourself in a networking group. I've always thought and always practiced the idea of deep drilling. Now, what does that mean? Well, it simply means that when you have a group of people that you know you want to get to know better, then you do exactly that. You get to know them better. You drill deep. How do I get into this person's network? And maybe they want to get into my network, or maybe there's another network that I can help them to get into. But I want to drill deep. I want to find out, who is this person? What are they about? Not just what they do on the surface, but rather what do they like? Who's their family? Who are their friends? Who are their business associates? Where do they hang out? What do they like to do? And you drill deep. You get to know what's going on. If you were to go to, for instance, an association meeting, that would be a place to network. You say, okay, well, I want to do business with realtors. Okay, great. So get involved with the X county, X city association of realtors. Why? Because those are the people that you want to do business with. So you want to hang around them as much as possible. They need to get to know you. They need to know who you are. And then you need to get involved. You need to serve, right? You need to go into that association and say, hey, I will be happy to be on the membership committee, assuming that you join. I mean, that would be the first step, naturally, would be to join. And once you join, maybe you say, well, I want to get involved in the membership committee, or I want to help sit at the table where everybody comes in, and I'll help sign them in and do the registration. Maybe at one of their events or many of their events, you'll get a booth. You certainly want to attend their lunch meetings. You want to get involved. So you're going to drill deep rather than drilling wide. And, drilling wide is just, I'm going to just see more and more and more and more and more people and build this huge base of people, but it isn't targeted. It isn't necessarily full of the people that I can really help, that I want to know, that want to know me. So you have to do that in smaller chunks. So if you get involved, if you say, I want to be working with teachers or realtors or engineers or sports coaches or whatever it is, whatever that segment is, you've got to figure out where they hang out, and that's where you're going to do your networking. Now, when you go to what one might call a typical networking group, where they have, like I belong to one, where they have occupation protected categories. So I'm the only money coach. There's an estate planning coach and a realtor and a mortgage broker and a financial advisor, insurance agent, and so on and so forth. And everybody's protected. There isn't going to be a second one in that occupation in that chapter. There may be one in other chapters, but not in that chapters. So you've got a group of 20 people-ish, hopefully. And because 20 to 25 is a nice size group. And you've got a group of 20 people, and they're all in different occupations. Now, as a money coach, for instance, I would like to be in touch with the realtor and the mortgage broker, the financial advisor, in my case, the therapist. As a therapist in our group, we do a fair bit of work together, referring back and forth and networking together and so forth. It's a good match for me. And you have to figure out what it is, or who it is, rather, that is a good match for you in that group. And you ought to check that before you join. So when you go to the group and I find, there's an open category, I'm going to go, and then you just join. No, you don't just join. You have to look at the group and say, hey, is this the right group for me? And the answer to, is this the right group for me, is, can I, number one, do I fit? Yeah, I want to be friends with these people. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we get on and so on and so forth. But you're there for ROI, right? You are there for the return on your investment. So you need to make sure that the people that are in the room are the people that you want to spend lots of time with over the next several years, because you're not really going to be in that networking group for 6 months to a year. If you're doing it right, if it's the right group, you're going to be in that group for several years. And if it's not the right group, you will pay your membership, you will be there for a year, and you will not renew. That's the way it goes. And then when you don't renew, you'll say, well, I never got any referrals out of that group. That's typically why people don't renew. Now, I know that some people move away and they die, and there are other reasons. But I would say probably 80 to 90% of the people who do not remain in your networking group leave because they don't get enough referrals. And then the question is, were they the right person to be in the group to begin with? Because on the other side, the membership committee should have also vetted you to determine whether or not you were a right fit. And in many cases, it's better for them to say, you know what, you're not the right fit. We like you, but we think that you would do better in a different group. I think that's okay. You're actually doing the person a favor, because if you're right, you're going to have saved them wasting a year of their time in a networking group that they didn't belong in. And it's a waste of time because they've filled a category and you're not going to get the referrals that you want from that person because they're not the right person to be in the group. And the goal is not to do business with each other, right? I mean, you can do business with the other people in the group, of course, and you will. But the real goal, the power of the group, is doing business with people that the people in the group are doing business with. In other words, 20 people know 20 people know 20 people. So you're going down that road of basically compound interest, aren't you? So 20 people know 20 people. That means there's 400 people that you might be able to get to know through the. Now, even if it's only 5 of the 20 people, that's still 100 people that might be someone that you'd want to do business with that are in their network, and of course they're doing the same thing with you. Maybe not those same 5 people, but there are people in the group who are looking at you in the same way, or at least should be. And people, when I've had conversations with them, they say, well, I don't really want to be doing that. I don't want to make it seem like I've got to be, quote, begging for business. But you're not begging for business. You are there for business. They are there for business. And you should feel okay about saying, hey, I need your help. You would expect them to say, hey, I need your help. I need to get to this person. Can you help me get there? Do you know someone who knows someone who knows someone who can get me into that account, or who can get me into that family, or who can get me to that person? And that's what the networking is all about. So when you go to the networking group where there are one-off occupations, you want to figure out who exactly it is that you want to see, and when you find them, build that relationship with them. Figure out right from the get-go how you can help each other to build your businesses. And so that's the drilling deep. You take 4 or 5 people out of a group of 20 and you work it, and you work it hard. And then at the end of the year, you look at your numbers. You track what you've done, which people generally don't do. Hey, how many referrals did you get out of this group last month? Well, I don't know. Hey, Roy, how are you? I don't know how many referrals I got out of the group last month. Well, you should know. You should know how many referrals you received, how many referrals you gave, and what the results were. When you get to the end of the year, you say, hey, I spent $400 joining this networking group. I had lunch every week for $20. That's $1,000 if you went to 50 meetings. So you spent $1,400. Now, admittedly, you probably would have had lunch anyway. So discount the lunch a little bit. Say, okay, maybe it cost me $1,000 to be here, and plus I was here 2 hours a week, and I spent an hour a week having coffee with people. So I spent 150 hours a year on this networking group, plus $1,000. Well, $1,000 is a lot of money, but it's minuscule as compared to the 150 hours. The 150 hours at $100 an hour is $15,000. At $50 an hour, of course, it's half that. So you decide what your time is worth. If it's worth $50 an hour, $7,500 in time, and then you've got your $1,000. That's $8,500. Did you make $8,500 minimum gross revenue from being in that group? And if you didn't, you have to decide now at the end of the first year, am I going to make $8,500 again next year? Or is this thing going to compound and grow a little bit because I've now built these relationships with these people? Don't quit too early, and don't stay too long. That's a difficult thing to assess, but you have to assess it as you would if you did and paid for advertising in a newspaper, a magazine, television, radio, and so forth. You would assess your return. And often in networking groups, we're having such a good time spending time with people that we like that we're not looking at the money. So there's lots of different things to do in networking. I could talk about this for hours. I love this subject. Love it, love it, love it. And I certainly want you to ask me any questions that you have. You can go to, as I said, Neil's Deals, NEILZDEALZ.com, and subscribe there. You can go to thewealthcreatorcompany.com and subscribe there. I've certainly got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so forth. Ask me questions. And this will be on Periscope for 24 hours. It will then be on YouTube. You'll have availability to it. But we can take this conversation as far as you want to take it. And I'm certainly happy to talk to you more about networking and how you can make more money networking and make the best use of your time. This is Neil Palache with the Wealth Creator Company for Women. Money coach extraordinaire, I do believe, although I do say so myself. I hope you have a great week. and thanks for watching. Neil Palache signing off. Thanks.